All right. Hello, everybody. We are live. Hello, Maya.
Hello.
Hello. We're here to answer the question that cannot be answered and but yet always asked a million times over with a different awareness each time. What is an X-Men? So Access Consciousness X-Men, a body of work that is just I don't even know if you can call it that, but a universe that is really about exploring the difference that we be, each one of us, as a completely different creature on the planet. Um, and
Let's say a life-saving body of work for some.
completely, oh man. So yeah. So Maya is one of my many favorite X-Men and makes me laugh like no other. She has a an X-Men sense of humor that is just wicked and wonderful and among so many other things. So what for you, Maya, what would you say? I know it's like you can't even answer that
Yeah. Oh my
question, but
God.
like yeah.
Well, first of all, I'll say that you were definitely one of the first facilitators that even gave me inklings of awareness about that. Like, because I also was kind of a normally functional child, like made it through school, you know. So we're like, we're okay. So it took a minute to even realize what's going on.
Oh my
I
God.
was
So
I
I
was
corrupted
faster than
you.
others. Like I've realized quite a few people this year have kind of been discovering autism, and I'm like, "Huh, old news."
Yeah. They're like, yeah. I gave myself that diagnosis about 15 years ago.
But really, it was like it was so easy for me to, because it's mostly about capacities in a way, like seeing all these disabilities as abilities, and like it was so easy for me. My daughter was like 5 or 4, 5, I think, when I went to my first ESB, and like she couldn't write numbers or letters, or like it was very clear to me that it would be very hard to go through the normal school system with her. So it was very easy for me to also, see capacities and like kind of acknowledge her as an X-Men, but it was quite a journey to transfer that to oh, wait a minute.
I love that because I facilitate X-Men classes and I have so many parents that come and they're like they have a child who's an X-Men and they're like I'm here to like have a greater possibility with my child, and then by the end of it they're like, oh, I'm an X-Men too. They're like some people get totally caught off guard because that's not at all what they're expecting to get from the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and how wonderful that our kids can just show us so many things.
Yeah, especially like for that straightforward thing of like school stuff, because it was like, okay, I did okay. But then when you discover this whole universe of like the speed you can be, or what it meant when you're like not focused, or just all these things, they just become these greater and greater gifts that start changing everything, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so true. So true.
And
Yeah.
even today, like I was listening to one of the older X-Men classes, and Gary Douglas, the founder, was talking about with someone about her being very quiet as a child, and even that, it was like getting more awareness of like what we did, or like, because I was labeled shy, but then he started talking about this lady, about how much he was aware of, or how much she finished the conversation before it even started, or like just all these things that we're capable of doing. And suddenly I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even this thing that I was like, okay, this may have been true, this perspective that they had about me. It was like, oh, wait a minute, how quick am I? How much can I read heads? And just all these things that just start disassembling, taking apart everything that you thought you are, or what's
Yeah.
strong about you that's strong about you.
Yeah, totally. Well, and like how often, like, so did you when you were saying that, I was wondering like how did you get bored a lot?
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know, maybe you didn't, but maybe other but
Yeah.
I know that is true for a lot of people where it's like you're so fat like you with X-Men that function so fast. Their
Hmm.
awareness is so fast. They finish people's sentences, before they even are done talking. And it's like it's just this like the rest of the world. I know I've had that where I'm like, the world is feels very slow around me sometimes, because the X-Men for a lot of X-Men, it's there's a lot of speed in their universe with just the energetic awareness that you just get kind of like downloaded, and that's
Yeah,
it.
and
You're
then
good.
people say so many times, like, use your words, which actually slows you down a lot of times, but you're worked so hard your whole life to get there that you're like, wait a minute, now I have to give up on that. I finally mustered a sentence. Come on.
Like I worked hard for these words.
Exactly. But it's like this whole universe of, because still up until today, like my husband says today, um, that in front of my kid rides horses, so the young one, and so in front of the instructor today, he didn't say anything. And then when they were in the car, he was like, "Okay, when's my next lesson?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because he already told you in his head that he wants another lesson. Like, what don't you get?" So they're still keeping us on our toes with like being willing to be that without the words, and I can still see like the right and wrong of like, trying to function normally when we're not that.
Yeah, yeah. That's so awesome because I was just about to ask you about your kids and and then I did, but I didn't say it out loud. So yeah, because you have some amazing X-Men children and so yeah, how have the X-Men tools been for you with I mean, I've seen so much of you parents. So you are a parent of X-Men children who is an X-Men who parents with X-Men tools like beautifully and dynamically and differently, and you're so inspiring.
Yeah, it's such a shortcut. Like it seems hard work to to choose to, I don't know, learn this new thing and function mostly, I would say, just very differently than anybody else around you. That's probably the biggest thing we're all dealing with all the time, like just not being normal. But in my little kingdom universe, it was just so easy to embrace. There's a book called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? And of course, there's X-Men classes and an X-Men manual, but it was just so easy to be like, wait a minute, all this normal stuff is completely not working. And especially, it was cool that it was around when she was 5 and he was a baby, because I already had acquaintances that started giving their kids Ritalin and they're like in grade 1. And I was like, sorry, I mean, we each choose our choices, but I cannot go down that path. Like,
Yeah,
this kid has so much energy, hence she's not supposed to be sitting for 8 hours a day at 5. Like, all these things that to me seem totally normal, natural, and there's a whole system that keeps working against us to put us in these boxes. And yeah, it was
yeah,
just, for me, it was a playground of like, wow, okay, we can raise them this way. How cool.
yeah. Well, and you gave yourself, I see this with you a lot. I have seen this with you over the years, like how much permission you give yourself to be different. I know
Mm.
it, you probably we all have those like the internal part of that it doesn't look at maybe seem as elegant on the inside. But talk about that because that's been really like if anybody wants to be inspired by an X-Men parent, follow this lady on, the socials because she shares all these beautiful stories and just like this incredible invitation of how she functions and, as a
Mm.
person and as a mom and with her kids. And it's just so gorgeous to see. Um, and so how was that like, how was that for you? Like, did you just jump right in and you're like, great, no problem? Or,
All right. It just like, because a lot of things can shortcut so many things. And after that, I was like, why would I do it any other way? And it's like, there's obviously it's a body of work and it takes time, and we're still learning every day, as I mentioned. But it's like, I don't know. I don't have to deal with tantrums. I didn't like, or I did have like 3 years without the tools with her, because when she was, I found access when she was like 3.5, 4. So she would go ballistic when we would go see houses for to find a new rental and stuff, and or when we were in a restaurant, and then I discovered about energy and entity capacities and all these things, like, oh, okay, she's actually aware of something here, and it doesn't even matter which direction, which tool we're going here, but she is highly energetically aware, and she is indicating something to us right now. So you can deal with this, you can have a conversation, you can educate them about their bad behavior, or you can ask a question, and a question makes it like an incident of 35 seconds to 90 seconds sometimes. And I was like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't I choose this?
that's so great. It's just like totally pragmatic. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
because 90 seconds or, hours, that's what I had with my kids was hours, Um,
Or these
and
heavy conversations where they learn to say the right thing, because also school functions like that. And then we get to this whole universe where our words never match our energy, which is a whole, like for me, also the ESB has been a really big school for X-Men, I would say. But it's
that's,
like,
if you don't know what that is, that's a beautiful class in access consciousness, energetic synthesis of being that Dr. Dane here facilitates. So, yeah.
yeah, I think that was for me the door to becoming an X-Men mom.
Yeah,
For sure.
I was the ESB class and the SOP Symphony of Possibilities, where you learn to do these energetic sessions. I always say that the SOP is like X-Men heaven, because you get to really be the X-Men that you are, and like learn how to like use your awareness and create with it and change energies and change things and move things. And it's just like this huge playground for X-Men bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the little things, like when I just heard Dane's many, many conversations about congruency with energy, suddenly I was like, oh, fuck. Now, no wonder it took me so and so months to wean my child, because I was just so not energy congruent with my decision. And then
Yeah.
suddenly, when I can start choosing from the, or either not choose, so I'm cutting all this guilt or anger or like all these boring things, like, okay, I'm not choosing this right now, versus, okay, now I'm very clear, I want to wean my child, and it takes, again, a day instead of 6 months. It was just like, again, pragmatic, fast, easier, just a way to reduce a lot of frustration in life.
Yeah. Oh, so great with kids, and also just with ourselves, like it is like this universe that is like a shortcut to everything, because
Yeah.
you're really functioning from the energy and what you're aware of, and that's always gives you the key to whatever it is that you'd like to have or change, or whatever. It's like it's all available to us through our awareness of energy, and the whole rest of the world doesn't acknowledge that. It's so bizarre how like opposite the rest of the world is, and everything's so hard and cumbersome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're really kind of, because it can be, in a way, a very lonely journey, because you just really have to trust yourself. And
Mhm.
yes, you have all these materials that can highly support you, and wonderful people, of course, but it's like,
Yeah.
uh, the whole world will give you different information. And this is a total, like, kind of segue, but also not. I don't know if you probably saw Love on the Spectrum, which to me is like the opposite of the gift of X-Men body of work, because it's like they're trying to teach these people constantly how things work. And
Right.
I finally learned that none of that has to be so, and I can have this happy universe that's my own,
Yeah.
versus like trying to fit yourself into a universe that's not yours. And it's just such a huge gift that still there's a long way to go with exposing the world to this.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a lot of these conversations, and there is I to me like an explosion of X-Men wonderfulness happening in a few weeks. Gary Douglas, Allison Cox, Arthur Wood, and Rachel O'Brien are going to be co-facilitating an X-Men class. This is the first one Gary's done in a long time. I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe since 2017 or something.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at the ranch in Texas, Blableville, Texas, and also online. And Maya's going to be there. I'll be online. But yeah, it's is the prerequisite a foundation class?
Yes.
Maybe. One of the things about X-Men is that, like we don't have to remember everything, so we just know where to send you to find out these things, which is on the accessconsciousness.com website.
Yeah.
And then you can look at, classes, Gary's classes, and it'll be there. So if you'd like to know what that is, then have a little adventure to the Access website.
Yeah, and there's I think all kinds of freebies you can probably find about like what is X-Men and just start if it entices you in any way to be like, wait a minute, do I have any form of ADD, ADHD, OCD, or autism? And did I think that's a problem? So
Yeah.
maybe this is for you.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you don't think you have those things, like I didn't, and then I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So yeah,
That's very
it's
true.
just, yeah, yeah. Cool.
And
Well,
in
thank
that
you.
sense, it's like,
Mm.
because I was saying before, like, okay, I functioned okay, but the difference between having that and having the freedom of being as capable as you actually are is a whole other spectrum. Like, that's the real spectrum that you can actually use all these capacities to your advantage and just have so much ease in so many different areas of your life that you never had before, and you don't have to look for the problem or take the pill or I don't know what.
Yeah,
Like,
so true. So true. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Maya, for being here. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see y'all soon.
thank you.
Yeah.